Today, we're sewing the Lamont Sling bag, which is a sporty, stylish project that's surprisingly simple and seriously satisfying to make. It's perfect for travel, errands, or any day that you want to carry your items hands-free. Lamont is designed with all-day comfort in mind. The pattern includes 2 sizes and multiple strap options, so whether you're taking this bag on adventures around the world or just chasing the kids around the park, it's got your back, literally. I'm Jess, the founder of Sallie Tomato, and I am so glad that you're here. On our channel, we make sewing approachable, useful, and honestly, a lot of fun. If you love stylish and practical projects, we hope that you'll subscribe to our channel. We have a growing library of tutorials to keep you inspired and ready to create confidently. The Lamont Sling bag was originally created for our annual New Year's Eve sewing event in collaboration with Sulky. The pattern was inspired by the character Lina Lamont from Singing in the Rain. I've always loved classic movies, so naming this design after Lina Lamont felt like the perfect tribute to her bold and free-spirited personality. This design combines classic flair with modern function to be your ultimate travel-ready companion. This project includes thoughtful details throughout, such as a front zipper pocket for quick access, a concealed back zipper for keeping essentials secure and out of sight, a spacious zippered interior, an accessory clip for added versatility, and a slightly wider base that gives you just enough room without the bulk. The full-size version includes a comfy padded strap, and the mini features a sleek webbing strap for lightweight days. To further personalize your project, we've linked optional in-the-hoop accessories and embroidered bag charms that you can stitch with Sulky threads. I love the little extras like this because they really make your bag yours. And if you're the kind of maker who likes everything to coordinate, the Lamont pairs perfectly with our Tracy and Lucky Penny wallet patterns. Both patterns are beginner-friendly and super fun to sew. The finished sizes include the full size, which measures about 11 inches wide, 17.5 inches high, and 3.25 inches deep. And the mini size, which measures about 8 inches wide, 13 inches high, and 2 inches deep. This pattern works well with a variety of fabrics, including quilt cotton, canvas, denim, or linen. Really make this bag your own by picking playful prints or a subtle design to fit your style best. Before we begin, please make sure to purchase a pattern. Everything you need is listed on the back of the pattern cover. You can find the Lamont pattern linked below. However, many local quilt shops and fabric stores carry Sallie Tomato supplies, so we hope you'll consider supporting your favorite shop when gathering your supplies for this project. So if you've got your pattern ready and your materials selected, go ahead and cut out your pieces following along with the cutting instructions in the pattern before getting into the tutorial. And feel free to pause the video anytime. I'll be guiding you through each step of the construction so you can sew at your own pace. Remember to take your time, enjoy the process, and don't worry about getting everything perfect on your first try. You've got this. Let's sew this beautiful bag together, one step at a time. In today's tutorial, I will be making the full-size Lamont. Throughout the pattern, the measurements for the mini size are listed first, and then the full size is noted in brackets. If there are no brackets for any of the measurements referred to in the pattern, then use the size that's listed for either project size. Follow along with the cutting instructions included in the pattern for either size project you would like to make. Pay attention because there are a few pieces, such as the shoulder strap pieces, that are different between the full size and the mini size. There are several paper pattern pieces included with the pattern, so make sure to print those at 100% or actual size on your printer, or make a copy with tracing paper so that way you have accurate pieces for your main panels. Follow along with the instructions in the pattern for cutting and preparing each of your pattern templates before cutting out your fabrics. The main fabric for this project should be a woven material such as cotton or canvas. It will be used for the exterior as well as the base. If you're making the full size, it will also be used for the padded shoulder strap. Your lining fabric should be a woven material. I'm using Sallie Tomato Turtle Tex, which is a water-resistant cotton that has a coating on the wrong side. It has a really great weight for bag making. This is a Sallie Tomato exclusive, and I highly recommend that you try it. Your lining fabrics will be used for the interior of your bag as well as zipper pocket lining. To stabilize your bag, you will need air mesh or foam. Air mesh is a great option because of how light, airy, and breathable it is. This material compresses as you sew and it pops right back into shape. As you can see, there are two different mesh weaves on each side. You can have either side up since we'll be using this as our interior stabilizer. If you're making the full size, we will also use either the air mesh or the foam to stabilize our strap piece. The full size includes a padded strap option, whereas the mini size includes a comfortable webbing strap option, which is a little less thick. Whether you choose to use air mesh or a foam for a stabilizer, you'll want to make sure that it is a sew-in instead of a fusible. Air mesh is sew-in. I don't recommend using fusible foam for this project because after your project is complete and we turn it right side out, the fusible foam tends to look a little bit more creased on your material, and it's more challenging to press out those creases with that fusible adhesive. This pattern also includes the option to add a mesh slip pocket on the interior. I love using mesh for pockets since it's lightweight. In your seams, it's breathable and semi-transparent so you can see the items that you have inside. I'm using Sallie Tomato Mini Mesh, which is a fine mesh that has a slight stretch to it. So just make sure when you're cutting out your mesh pieces that the stretch goes along the width of your piece. And if you decide to add a slip pocket, you'll also need some fold over elastic, which will be the binding for the top edge of the pocket. And as we've been going through the pieces, you may have noticed that I have some labels clipped to each of my pieces. And we do have a free download on our website that you can cut out reusable piece labels that you can use for other Sallie Tomato patterns or other bag making patterns that are labeled alphabetically. So just clip or pin the little labels to each of the pieces as you cut them out to help keep you organized. You'll also need 1-inch webbing and 1.5-inch webbing for your project. Make sure to follow along with the pattern for the specific cutting dimensions for each of the pieces of webbing according to the project size that you're making. You will also need some double fold bias binding. You can either use pre-made or make your own. The binding will be used to encase the raw end of some of the zippers as well as the binding along the base. Plus, if you're making the full size, the binding will be used to finish off the shoulder strap edges. If you're curious on how to make your own bias binding, we've added a link in the description to a tutorial that walks you through step by step how to create it. You'll also need several lengths of zipper for this pattern noted on the cover. You will need a nylon coil zipper for the zipper pockets as well as the zipper closure since we'll be sewing over the teeth. I'm using Sallie Tomato zippers by the yard. These zippers have a nylon coil with a metallic finish, so they appear to be metal and match the metal zipper pull. However, since they're nylon, you can easily cut and sew over the coil. We have a wide range of colors and designs of zipper by the yard available on our website as well as at your local Sallie Tomato retailer. If you get the chance to select your bag making materials from a local quilt shop, I highly recommend doing so. It's so important to support our local businesses. Plus, it's great to see the materials in person. First, let's prepare the zippers. Unfold each bias binding piece L, which are the zipper tabs. I'm just starting with one of my zippers. Then, with right sides together, align the length edge of one tab along the raw closed end of each zipper. You can use a sewing clip to hold the tab in place. Then sew with a seam allowance slightly narrower than the first crease in the binding. Refold the binding, wrapping it over the raw end of each zipper. Then top stitch each tab an 1/8 inch from the folded seam edge. Trim the excess fabric so the tabs are even with the side edges of each zipper. Then you'll repeat for the remaining 2 zippers. Next, create the zipper pockets. On the paper pattern piece D, make sure the zipper placement box is cut out along the dashed black lines. On the wrong side of 2 lining pieces D for the zipper pocket lining, use the paper pattern piece D right side up to mark the zipper placement boxes. Then with right sides together, align the right and bottom outer edges of one piece D with each main fabric piece B for the exterior. Use pins or sewing clips to hold the pieces together. Then sew along each zipper placement box using a 2mm stitch length and pivot at each corner. Next, you can use a seam ripper or a scissors to cut a small slit in the middle of the placement box. Then take your scissors and carefully cut a line through the center of the stitched placement box, stopping about 1/2 inch from each end. Then cut diagonally toward the stitched corners at each end. You'll want to make sure that you are cutting through all of the layers, but do not cut through the stitching. Repeat the same process for your other marked and stitched zipper pocket and exterior piece. Then push each pocket lining through the cut opening to the wrong side and arrange the attached fabrics so they are wrong sides together. You can press in place with an iron or a seam roller from both sides to help the fabric lay flat. Next, take one of your zippers for the zipper pocket, and if you'd like, you can apply a double-sided basting tape along each of the long edges of the zipper to help hold it in place for this next step. On the wrong side, center your zipper right side down over the placement opening so the upper raw edge of the zipper is above the top edge of the pocket. The right side of the zipper should show through the opening on the right side of the exterior. Also, the zipper should close toward the top with the pull inside the placement opening. Once your zipper is properly positioned within the placement box, you can press it down to adhere it in place. Otherwise, you can use a fabric glue or pins to hold the zipper. Repeat for the remaining zipper pocket. I've attached a narrow foot to my machine. You'll want to use a narrow foot or a zipper foot for this next step. On the right side of the exterior, top stitch an 1/8 inch from each of the zipper boxes. Next, on the wrong side, align all edges of each remaining piece D, right sides together with each attached piece D. Pin or clip only the pocket pieces together along the right and top edges. Flip each unit over so they face right sides up, and fold the exterior away from the left clipped edge of the pocket linings. Sew along the left edge of each pocket with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Then fold the exteriors away from the top pinned edge of the pockets and sew along the top edge of the pockets with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. After sewing, trim any excess zipper even with the pocket edges. Next, smooth each pocket flat and align the right and bottom outer edges of the pocket with the outer edges of the exterior piece. Pin or clip in place. Then top stitch an 1/8 inch from the right and bottom outer edges to hold the pocket in place. Then, if you haven't done so already, repeat the same steps to attach the remaining zipper pocket pieces to the remaining exterior piece. Next, attach the foam to the coordinating pieces. Start by trimming about 1/2 inch from the top and bottom edge of each foam piece B. Then, with right sides up, center each main fabric piece B over one foam piece B. Use sewing clips to hold the layers together. Then, baste an 1/8 inch from the aligned side edges. Next, with wrong sides up, center foam piece E over main fabric piece C. I like to use a sew tight magnet to help secure the foam temporarily. These sewing magnets are very slim and super handy to use while bag making, especially when pins or sewing clips aren't able to be used. I have several sizes in my stash, so they're ready for when I need them. Otherwise, you could also use basting spray between the layers to help prevent shifting. When you're ready, top stitch the foam in place 1/4 inch from the outer edges. If you're curious about sew tights, we've added a link in the description of this video. Next, we'll install the zipper closure. Choose one of your exterior panels to be the front and set the other exterior panel aside to be the back. For this next step, it may be helpful to cut along the zipper placement box on paper pattern piece B for ease of marking. However, keep in mind that if you plan on making this pattern again, you may prefer to make a second copy of pattern piece B before cutting along the zipper placement box to maintain a whole uncut version of the pattern piece. Otherwise, you may be able to just cut a slit at the top and bottom along the dash line for the zipper closure placement and fold the paper along the long dash line to mark the zipper placement box for the closure. On the wrong side of one lining piece B interior, use pattern piece B to mark the edge of the zipper placement box. Then, with right sides together, align the outer edges of the marked interior with the exterior front. Use sewing clips to hold the layers together. Sew along the zipper placement lines, pivoting at each corner using a 2mm stitch length. After sewing, trim the seam allowance to 1/4 inch wide. Also, snip the inner corners of the seam allowance, being careful to not cut through the stitches. This will help the seam allowance lay flat. Then turn and press the interior so it is wrong sides together with the exterior. I like to use sewing clips to make sure all of the outer edges stay even and aligned. Next, we'll attach the zipper closure. I recommend adding a thin basting tape along the right side edge of the zipper for the closure. Otherwise, you could add a thin line of fabric glue or use pins to hold it in place. With right sides up, center the zipper for the closure within the placement box against the interior, so the upper raw edge of the zipper is above the top edge of the interior and exterior. The zipper should close toward the top with the pull inside the placement opening. You'll want to gently curve the zipper to follow the shape of the exterior. To ensure that the zipper is positioned accurately, measure and maintain an approximate 1/8 inch for the mini size or 1/4 inch for the full size distance between the zipper coil edge and the folded placement box edge. You could also lay the paper pattern piece on top to ensure that the zipper does not go beyond the paper edges. You'll want to use a zipper foot or a narrow foot for the next step. And when you're ready, on the right side of the exterior, top stitch an 1/8 inch from the fabric seam edges of the zipper box. Next, create the lower strap connector. In this next step, we will be attaching the lower strap connector through all of the layers of the exterior back. You'll notice that because of this, the stitching will make the backside zipper pocket a little bit smaller. However, the layers of the zipper pocket and foam that are already attached provide extra support to the lower strap connector. Start by sliding one D-ring onto each end of webbing piece G, which is the lower strap connector. Then, with wrong sides together, fold the webbing ends 1 inch to the underside and use sewing clips to hold in place. With right sides up, center the lower strap connector according to the pattern. You can use basting tape, washi tape, or a Sew Tights magnet to hold the strap connector in place. I love using washi tape to hold areas like this, which are difficult to pin or use sewing clips. You can stitch through the washi tape and gently tear it away after sewing. Then top stitch an 1/8 inch from the outer edges of the strap connector and about 3/8 inch from each of the D-rings. As you can see, I have a narrow foot attached to my sewing machine, or you could use a zipper foot, which is helpful to stitch close to the D-rings and the edge of the webbing. The next section explains how to create and attach the padded shoulder strap. You can skip ahead to the next section if you're making the mini size. With right sides up, center one main fabric, piece A, for the shoulder strap over either one or both of the foam pieces A. If you prefer, one piece of foam can be used for a thinner strap, or 2 pieces of foam can be used for a thicker strap. If your machine struggles to sew through thickness, you may want to consider the thinner strap option. Then, once your pieces are aligned and clipped together, baste an 1/8 inch from the aligned outer edges. As an extra option, if you chose to use foam instead of air mesh for the shoulder strap, center the additional main fabric piece A over the wrong side to cover the exposed foam. Then you'll want to baste an 1/8 inch from the aligned outer edges to conceal the wrong side of the foam. This is another reason why I love using air mesh, because the air mesh looks great on its own and you don't have to cover it with any additional fabric. You can leave it as is. Next, position the shoulder strap template over the shoulder strap, aligning the bottom and side edges. Trace the bottom curved edge of the template from side to side. Then top stitch an 1/8 inch from the marked line. After top stitching, cut along the marked line to shape the bottom of the strap. Unfold bias binding piece M for the shoulder strap binding and position the right side of the binding against the wrong side of the shoulder strap along the outer length, starting at the top end. Use sewing clips to hold the bias binding in place or hold it as you sew. When you're ready, sew the binding in place to the sides and along the bottom edges with a seam allowance slightly narrower than the first crease in the binding. Refold the binding, wrapping it over the raw edges of the shoulder strap. Use sewing clips to hold the layers in place. To help ease the binding to lay flat, you can trim away some of the seam allowance along the bottom curved edge. Then, from the top side of the strap, top stitch the binding an 1/8 inch from the folded edge. After sewing, trim the excess binding even with the top edge of the strap if needed. Next, take the 1-inch swivel hook and webbing piece H for the accessories clip and slide the swivel hook onto the webbing. With wrong sides together, fold the webbing ends to meet in the middle of the underside. Use sewing clips to hold in place. Next, slide the rectangle ring onto webbing piece I for the upper strap connector. And with wrong sides together, fold the webbing ends to meet in the middle of the underside. Use sewing clips to hold in place. With the right sides up, position the accessories clip on the shoulder strap according to the pattern, as well as the upper strap connector according to the pattern. I like to use washi tape to hold each of the webbing pieces in place. Then top stitch each piece an 1/8 of an inch from the outer edges and about 3/8 inch from the hardware. Next, with right sides up, center the prepared shoulder strap over the exterior back, aligning the top raw edges. Baste the raw edge of the strap in place with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. The next section explains how to attach the upper strap connector for the mini size. Skip to the next section if you decided to make the full size Lamont and you already have your padded strap attached. So start by taking your accessories clip webbing and your 1-inch swivel hook and slide the webbing onto the swivel hook and fold the raw edges to about the middle. You can have it be a little closer to the lower folded edge and add some sewing clips together, but the raw ends should meet. And since we're going to attach this to our strap, by having the raw edges a little offset from the middle is a little bit more likely to catch them versus being exactly in the middle, because we need to sew away from this hardware edge. And if the raw edges are directly in the middle, we might be less likely to catch that raw edge. So that's just a tip. You'll be fine if it's easier to meet in the middle, but it's just a little bit more assuring when they're a little offset. Next, you're going to take your upper strap piece and position the accessories clip so the bottom folded edge is 3 inches from the raw edge of the strap end. You also want to make sure that the wrong side with the raw ends is against the webbing, so you have the right sides facing up. Then we're gonna head over to the sewing machine and sew a box about 1/8 of an inch from the outer edges and 3/8 inch or 1/2 inch from the hardware to secure this accessories clip in place. And to prevent shifting, I like to start in the middle of one side of the accessories clip and backstitch, and then sew forward and continue sewing your box. Again, you can take your stiletto and kind of tuck those little raw ends in between the layers so they aren't seen along that outer side edge. All right, so then you're going to find your 1.5 inch wide rectangle ring and thread it through that bottom raw end of the webbing. Fold the webbing to the underside 1/2 inch and then also 1 inch. So we can tuck that raw end of the webbing between the layers and use a sewing clip to hold the layers in place. And I prefer to sew this step from the top side to make sure that nothing goes crooked and my stitches look even. And here's how it looks from the top side and the back side. So now that our upper strap connector is complete, we can attach it to the back side of our bag. So go ahead and take your back panel, make sure that the right sides are facing up, and just run your thumb along the top of the strap to make sure nothing gets twisted, and center the raw edge along the top edge of the bag. Add a sewing clip, and then we're going to top stitch across this end of the strap. You'll want to back stitch several times for reinforcement. And this is a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to shorten my stitch length to 2 millimeters just to catch more of the fibers. And when you back stitch, you may want to offset your stitch lines a little bit. So that way our webbing is secured to the fabric really well. Next, we'll create and attach the optional slip pocket. Skip ahead to the next section if you are not adding a mesh slip pocket to your sling bag. Align the top raw edge of mesh piece F for the slip pocket along the center of the elastic piece K. Then fold the elastic in half, encasing the raw edge of the mesh. Use sewing clips to hold the layers together. Then top stitch the elastic in place 1/4 inch from the folded edge of the elastic. With right sides up, center the slip pocket over the remaining lining piece B for the interior back, and make sure to align the bottom edges. The sides of the mesh will go beyond the sides of the interior back. When you're ready, sew the pieces together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, following along the edges of the interior back. After sewing, trim the excess mesh even with the interior back. Now we're ready to assemble the bag. Open the zipper closure a few inches. Then, with right sides together, center the exterior front over the exterior back, aligning the outer edges. Use lots of sewing clips to hold the layers together. Then sew together along the sides and top edge with a 1/4 inch seam, leaving the bottom unsewn. Be aware of the zipper pulls and the strap as you sew, making sure that they stay away from the seam allowance. Next, with right sides together, center the interior back lining over the interior front lining, matching the outer edges. Start and end the seam stitching a 1/4 inch from the straight bottom edge. Sew together along the sides and the top edge with a 1/4 inch seam, leaving the bottom unsewn. Trim the corners and notch the curves to help reduce bulk. If you have a pinking shears, this type of scissors really helps to quickly and efficiently notch the corners. Then turn the bag through the unsewn edge to bring the lining right side out. Then turn the bag again with the exterior facing right side out by pushing the fabric through the side zipper. With wrong sides together, baste the interior to the exterior along the bottom edge with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. You can also top stitch an 1/8 inch from the side seam, even with the zipper placement box if you would like, to keep the layers flat. Next, with wrong sides together, center lining piece C base over the exposed foam of the exterior piece C base. Use some sewing clips to hold the layers together, then baste an 1/8 inch from the aligned outer edges. Then turn the bag through the side zipper so the interior is out enough to access the bottom edge of the bag. Fold the bag in half, matching the side seams to mark the front and back center points. Then fold the base in half in opposite directions to mark the front, back, and side centers. With the main fabrics together, match the center marks on the base with the center marks on the bottom edge of the bag. Clip together. Then baste an 1/8 inch from the base edge, securing all of the layers before adding the binding. Unfold the bias binding piece N for the base binding and press one short end a 1/2 inch to the wrong side. Position the right side of the binding against the interior along the bottom edge. Sew the binding in place with a seam allowance slightly narrower than the first crease in the binding. When you approach the beginning, overlap the binding by about 1 inch and trim the excess. Refold the binding, wrapping it over the raw edges of the base. Add some sewing clips if you'd like. Then top stitch the binding an 1/8 inch from the folded edge. After sewing, turn the bag right side out. Next, create and attach the adjustable strap. Thread one end of the webbing piece J for the adjustable strap over the center bar of a slider buckle. Fold the end of the strap about a 1/2 inch, then 1.5 inches to the underside. Top stitch the strap to itself. With the wrong side face up, thread the opposite end of the strap without the slider buckle through the rectangle ring attached to the bag strap from the underside toward the top side. Then thread the strap over the center bar of the slider buckle. And thread the end through the remaining swivel hook. Repeat steps 2 to 3 in the pattern instructions to secure the end of the strap to itself. Then you can attach the swivel hook to each of the D-rings on the lower strap connector, depending on how is the most comfortable for you to carry your sling bag. And the final section is to create the optional in the hoop accessories and embroidered bag charms. If you wish to create clip-on accessories for your sling bag and embroidered bag charms, visit sewingonline.sulky.com or scan the QR code within the pattern for a video tutorial to show you how to make your sling bag even more customized and unique to your style. I hope you enjoyed sewing the Lamont sling bag. It's such a fun and practical project, and I can't wait to see how you make it your own. If you have any questions or ideas for future tutorials, drop them in the comments. We absolutely love hearing from you. And be sure to share your finished Lamont bag on social media. Tag us and use the hashtag SallieTomato and hashtag Lamont Sling Bag so we can celebrate your creativity and share your makes with our community. We can't wait to see what you create, but before we sign off, we want to give a huge thank you to Arrow Sewing Cabinets for supporting our studio and making this space possible. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We always have fresh patterns, tutorials, and tips that we're excited to share with you to help you create confidently. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to check out the rest of our pattern line for more stylish, useful projects. I'll see you next time.